The Napier L48 is called Samson. It was built in 1905. This particular car has the engine, the original engine. It's the first car recorded in history in America, on American soil, to break the 100-mile-an-hour barrier. It was the first British car to exceed 100 miles an hour, and it set the world land speed record at 104.5 miles an hour in 1906. Came back to Daytona and Ormond Beach the following year and set all the records up to 100 miles, and also won the 100-mile race and averaged over, I think it was 78 miles an hour, and finished the race on 3 wheels. Actually, it threw a tyre and they kept going to finish the race. Amazing story. But the history of the car really begins in 1904 when it was designed, and it raced right until 1908. Then they put a slightly larger engine in the car, and that was pretty much the maximum development for the car. It was lapping Brooklands at 114 miles an hour on a bank track, which was too high for the tyres and the technology at the time. So they abandoned racing Napier. They gave it up. A few people had died in racing. So they dismantled the car. The engine of the car was sold to 2 brothers in Australia called the Cornwell brothers, who had a ceramics factory. Then, of course, the Great War began, World War I, and then for the next 50 years, this engine just sat in the corner of the factory until an Australian engineer, Bob Chamberlain, saw the engine, thought it was a wonderful piece of engineering, and started to ask about the history and find out about the history of the engine, which had sort of been forgotten. And it turned out that the actual engine that was in this ceramics factory was the engine out of this car when it broke the world land speed record. So he decided to rebuild the car. He put the resources of a tractor factory into this job. So the casting department made casting patterns of the original, what the original components would have been like, and actually made hundreds and hundreds of casting patterns. And you can see every single component of this car, except the engine, has been made from these casting patterns, which are copies of the original plans. So he didn't just go out there and get old parts and make a race car. He actually made the original car again. Hundreds of casting patterns, hundreds of castings, totally like the car that raced in 1908. So he chose an era for the car around 1908, and that's the car. So we call it a 1904 Napier because the engine is 1904. The engine came out of the casting patterns in March 1904, and so he's sort of created the car at its greatest. It was always changed. Every year they changed the car, improved it, made it faster. So he just chose a time and made it in the look of that particular car. So I think she's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's absolutely brilliant. At 20 or 30 miles an hour, it's a bit rough, but you get it up to 100 miles an hour and it is as smooth as silk. It has endless torque. The torque just comes in and the thing just jumps up, it leaps forward, and it's incredibly smooth. It's a beautiful thing. It weighs a ton, so it's incredibly light for the time. They wanted to meet the under 1 ton race rules, so they built it light. So the engine is half aluminium, or aluminum as you guys say, half aluminum. It's a mighty car. Only 2 gears. You drop it into second gear at 65 miles an hour minimum, because otherwise top gear is so high. And then it'll go from 60 miles an hour to 115 miles an hour in maybe 20 or 30 seconds. It just flies. To drive it on Ormond Beach, at Daytona Beach again, this engine raced at 104 miles an hour, just a few hundred yards from where we're speaking. In the heroic age of motor racing, when these young guys would go out there and risk their lives to do these crazy things, and to be able to bring the car back and to be able to go on the beach again and not to drive at 104 miles an hour, but just to be able to take the car here. The owner of the car, I think, would be very excited. He'd be doing it himself, and unfortunately he can't be with us. He's passed away, but I think it's the proper thing to do.
If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And to see more stories like this, visit us online at classicmotorsports.com.